Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Oddly Specific, the only podcast that covers everything from private equity to Pete Davidson. I'm your host, Meredith Lynch, and right off the bat, I have something that I want to clear up. My entire life, I have worked to be just like Bob Costas, and it's finally happened because something is happening with my eyes. I can feel it, you can see it, and I just want to acknowledge that before we get started. And I also want to acknowledge my fantastic partner in crime. She's here in California. She's with us today. We have so much that we want to cover. We've been texting about it all morning. Meredith Constant in the house. Meredith.
In the house, confusing people at stand-up shows all over Los Angeles.
Okay, first of all, we do need to talk about my eye.
Listen, I barely notice it, if that makes you feel any better. Bob Costas, that was a growing organism. I mean, that thing.
That was wild.
That was bad.
That was like an Olympic sport.
It literally was. I mean, it was more popular than breakdancing was. But, not sorry, ray gun. But that thing took over. Now, was that, people were saying it was pink eye, but then it was like, is it botched, like a Botox situation? He was trying to like look a little fresher before the games. Do you remember?
I think it was pink eye.
Okay.
I think it was pink eye, and I just wondered, do you think Gen Z knows about this?
Knows about pink eye or Bob Costas?
Bob Costas and the pink eye heard around the 2012 Olympics.
That feels like something that is so specific that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't know it. That does not exist.
The next generation is going to be people who don't remember Bob Costas at the 2012 games.
And circling back to important historical events in America, I don't think so. And I am actually sad that people don't get to experience the joy, which was Bob Costas, who could be a bit of a zaddy when he was a little younger. I love an older man.
Can you believe they retired him? Don't you feel like he was a little old to be put back in his bunker?
I don't understand.
I mean, a little young, excuse me.
They shuffle out some of the diving lady that hates everyone. She's been on for 12 Olympics, and they just took her out.
To be fair, it's probably hard to find a diving expert.
That's actually a very good point.
Although I judged many a dive at the Medford Boat Club growing up.
Did you?
Yeah.
I was a diver for a half a season. I was in one meet, and I said never again.
Was it scary?
It's terrifying. I was able to do a backflip only because I couldn't stop in time to do just a dive backwards. And then one time I almost hit my feet on the board and I said, you know what? No, I'm not made for this. I don't have spatial recognition. Why would anyone put me on a diving board?
I do think it's impressive though that you did that.
Thank you. I was a swimmer and I just had this, why don't if I do everything? What if I'm a diver? I'm not a diver. I have a pretty good basic, pike dive though.
Well, yeah. And here's the thing. I just want to make it clear for the audience because, it's going to come out. There's going to be people reaching out from the Medford Boat Club saying there was no diving team. And they will be right. There was no diving team. This was just freelance diving that we would do off the dock. Okay. Actually, you'll love this. I used to go to this place. It was a place you could have a membership to. It was called the Medford Boat Club.
Yes.
And it was not like when I tell people that they're like, oh my God, fancy.
No,
and,
but
don't get me wrong.
I know all about Medford.
It was nice. Like it was very nice. Okay. Killer snack bar, okay? I would vibe there so hard right now. But like it was not like a yacht club, country club. And across the way was a place called the Winchester Boat Club. And let me tell you, it was like the Sharks and the Jets. Like the kids from the Winchester Boat Club and the kids from the Medford Boat Club. It was like, oh, you guys think you're so slick with your Winchester Boat Club. And we had to swim in the lake and they had a pool. And here's the thing, because they were like, if we saw the Winchester kids like out on the lake, because I'll go sailing, which I hated, but we would go sailing. The Winchester kids would fight with the Medford kids and they'd be like, oh, how's your contaminated lake doing?
It's like this water is also a part of your world, bitch. Right? If it's contaminated for them.
We could see them from across the lake.
That is the West Side Story remake I need.
Right?
Just a bunch of kids from Medford.
But I think you'll appreciate this. We used to do this thing at the Medford Boat Club. It was called Endurance. And it was at 3:00 in the afternoon every day. And because it was like, you could do swimming lessons, you could do sailing lessons. But as you're a parent, so like you've got some of these like beings running around.
They keep appearing.
Right?
And
there's three of them.
They always want food. It's so weird.
They would love the snack bar. So
probably.
But like the thing is, all the programs and stuff in the summer are in the morning.
Yep.
So by the afternoon, it's like, what do you do with these kids, right? And so Endurance was like at 3 o'clock, and it was just swim as many laps as you could.
That's genius. Also known as swim practice, really.
Right. And so like, and you got it, if you got like 500 laps or something, you got a t-shirt at the end of the summer.
Listen, I would have upped the ante.
Yeah.
Because if you read a certain number of books over the summer, you get a personal pan pizza. I would have thrown in a pizza at least, or like an
there was
icing.
like a whole award ceremony. If you got like really high, you got like extra stuff. Like, but it was so good because it was like you weren't really doing anything, but you were tired as fuck when you got out of that.
Oh my
lake.
God.
My mother would be like, "Why are you still sitting here? Go to endurance."
Endurance. That is such a specific to like kind of 90s, early 2000s thing. Like our toxic culture of, you know, heroin chic. It's like, well, make the kids swim as many laps as they can. You couldn't do that today.
Right?
You would be accused of bullying children. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you would have to have like some gentle mindfulness too. Like, you couldn't do that.
What if endurance is still happening?
Well, we need to call the Medford. We have a field trip.
No, you know what? Let's call the Winchester Boat Club and have them investigate.
Oh yeah, we should be like, we hear they're bullying kids over there. Can you go check it out? It might be good for your membership. Yeah, let's start a rumor in Medford. That'll be great.
I remember there were this one family and they had a membership to both boat clubs.
Why?
I don't know.
What, did they like the snack bar better?
And like I used to like, I wasn't bullying the girls, but I used to be like, well, tell me what club you like better.
Well, no, that's
And
just
they'd be
the
like, oh,
investigative
definitely
journalist.
definitely this one. And I'm sure they were across the lake being like, it's definitely this one.
No, that's called smart. I also belong to one of those clubs that's, you say you belong to a pool club. It's not really like that. It's
Right.
one pool and just not a lot of seating. But I was a lifeguard and a swim coach. And the one perk of the job, we did not have a snack bar, which was a mistake. But we did have an icy truck come. And if you were a lifeguard or a swim coach, you got a free icy. I went through every single flavor combination. I was obsessed.
Was it like a slush, like a Richie slush?
No, it was like with the white cups.
Oh, like the hard Luigi's.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
but not as hard. Like it was the perfect amount, and
Yeah.
they would just pile it on. And the guy that drove the truck, we called T-Rex because he kind of had little T-Rex arms, but one of the lifeguards kind of had a crush on him, and that really helped us kind of get a little
my
extra
God.
over the summer.
Totally.
It was great.
Wow.
That's what I ate all summer. Just ices.
Last night, you came to my comedy show,
I did.
which was so kind of you.
You were fantastic.
Oh.
I have to tell you, Meredith gets on stage, and I've seen her comedy obviously on live. It's different in person. She comes on stage, you are here, Meredith is here, you are paying attention to her, and she gets right in. It is incredible. I was screaming. You know the joke. I was screaming.
Yeah,
the set
America's
is
not
so
ready
good.
for that joke yet. Eventually, that joke is going to come out, but
Oh man, when it does. This is why if you're in the area, you need to go see Meredith. This joke, it has two different points where it gets you. And the second time, I threw myself back like my grandmother when she found out the Christmas tree shop closed. I mean, I was just
it's one of those stories that honestly, it's one of those jokes that I'm like, I don't know if I should save it for the memoir.
I think you could still do it. I think there's still
Okay.
enough of a crossover that you could do it, and then you expand in the memoir on
that's
the story.
true.
Do you know what I
That's
mean?
True. Yeah, it is true. But we'll just say that it does involve Jersey Mike's.
It does in such a delightful way. Although I do have a deli meat trick for you that I think is going to change your life. It could have.
We'll talk about it
Yeah,
at another
we'll-
time. We'll
yeah.
talk about it off mic.
Off the pod, off the
Listen,
pod.
do you know what I had when I got home last night from the show?
What'd you have?
I had preemptively ordered Jersey Mike's.
Why are you the smartest person ever? Like, I need to
don't
be
know about
more
that.
like Meredith.
I have tears literally streaming down my eyes because I think I'm again using the wrong eye drops.
Well, we know you don't read those directions.
I don't. Like, we talked about this last night
Yeah.
in my set. You know, I did look at the eclipse back in April. Big mistake.
Huge.
It actually
Huge.
was a stupid mistake.
Very stupid.
I know.
Like, shockingly stupid. Was it even worth it? Was it worth it, though? Like, did you see anything that was worth it? Can you just tell me if it was worth it? And this is disclaimer, don't do this at home, but
my
like,
God,
was it
no.
great?
It wasn't bad.
Living on the edge.
Right? So, like, there's stupid things I do and there's smart things I do, you
Yeah.
know? But thank you for coming. It meant a lot to me. You're out here in LA. You're
Yes.
busy. You're booked. You're blessed. What else are you doing out here?
So I am meeting with my agent, which is really a way to. I know this is my favorite thing to say. My agent would probably like me to make her money. We're not there yet, though. I am in the process. Listen, the literary world is very humbling. It's very,
Yes.
very humbling. You know, I'm working on it. I'm meeting with her on Monday. I can write off the trip that way, hang out.
Girl, you can't give your like tax information on the show. Like, I love you so much, but you're like,
let me
hey
give
guys,
everything.
check it out. Here's my social security number.
Cut it.
Do I have to cut that because I want to keep it in?
No, keep it in.
Thank you.
It's fine. Yeah, I had fun. I met up with some of my little buddies, my little friend.
Your
Every
internet
time,
friends like me, who's become an IRL friend.
like you, and then Omid Scobie, which he always pops up in my little videos, which is always fun. We did a video in Lululemon yesterday. We came up with this whole like doing the demure, very thoughtful, very
Oh my
mindful.
God.
And then he pretended to be the store clerk and handed me something. And so we're trying to film this thing and trying to be demure about it.
There's nothing demure about filming in LA. People give no shits. People literally, like, you could be getting a colonoscopy and, like, the person who's doing it would be like, hey, guys, check it out. Just wanted to make sure that everybody knows I'm performing this weekend at the Improv Asylum.
We were both like
you don't
the
have to be
appropriate
demure.
level of embarrassed because then a woman was like, I'm just looking at the bags, and I moved and I was like, you know what, the color selection isn't that great right now. So I
Did
got
you
her
own one of
got her
those
moving.
bags?
I have to say, around Thanksgiving last year, I was able to get a good deal on the like a smaller one for my kids because they're actually really practical.
Oh, totally.
And they're super cute. It's one of those things that like I would have loved to have the cool bag as a kid, but like we weren't working with that money.
Right.
So it was Kohl's Cash or nothing. So they do have a bag. They're great. They really are.
I bought my sister one as a gift and she loves it. I have just like a fanny pack that I bought off Amazon.
Same.
And like, I don't care. I wear that thing everywhere.
No, it's great. I have the same thing. I just can't justify it, but I'm like, kids, you look cool.
Yeah, I get that. Like, do you feel like you want your kids to have things that you never had?
Yes, and that's the hardest part is the realizing the wants versus the needs with kids and really wanting them to have. I remember the first Christmas, my daughter was only 11 months old.
Right.
And we were working with a lot of money this Christmas.
Right, yeah.
And I wanted to get her something. And there was this Fisher Price, The Little People, but it was Cinderella's castle with like all the little dolls and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had to have for her. And I was very stuck on it. And my mom was just like, what happened in childhood? What were you deprived of that this is the thing? And I was like, full price Abercrombie jeans.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that's what it is.
Yeah, it kind of, I mean, in a way, like, it's beautiful to be able to give your kids things that you never got to have. But when they're that little, you don't probably have to. Like, as they get older, I think it's like, oh, okay, this special thing. And
Yeah.
I remember when my sister was born. She was born in October, and Christmas was in December. I don't know if you're familiar.
Famously, I also had a sibling born in October.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So at the time, I was 8. This is a very common topic here on the podcast. It's just like me reminiscing about this very specific time period in my life where I was 8, my sister was a baby, and it was the greatest experience of my life. But she was a baby, so she was only a few months old, and I was 8, and so on Christmas morning, like we had a good, like, my mom went pretty hard for Christmas. Like, that was a good day.
Yeah.
Birthdays were like, okay, we're happy for you. You get like a small gift, whatever. But Christmas, like, my parents would turn it out. Yes. And so I run downstairs, and my spot is just covered in the presents, and I'm so excited. And then, like, of course, I'd already like discussed with my mom. I was like, okay, so like, where's Nora's spot gonna be? Like, where's her spot?
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. And so I look over at her spot, and it's like a few things, and they're very practical. And
Like
I was
diapers.
like, yeah, like, it was like really practical stuff. And I was like, what the fuck did she do?
She's already been that bad.
Right? Like,
I mean-
Santa, like, you dropped the ball on Nora. Did Santa know about Nora? And he was like fishing around.
That
Like,
Catholicism, like purgatory,
Right?
is super rough. Was she baptized yet?
yes,
Oh.
of course. But like, I really did. Oh, I think she was. But I really did feel like, what the fuck? Why didn't she, like, Santa did not show up for Nora.
That would be really disconcerting. That would be so disconcerting. I will never forget when my brother was born. I was 5.
Okay, so
And I
there was
was-
a little bit of an age
And
gap.
I was kind of like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
I didn't ask for this.
Mm-hmm.
When my mom told me that she was pregnant, I said, okay, so I'm living with you. That baby's going to live with daddy. I already knew who the better parent was to live with. I already knew. I was already scheming things because I'm a Capricorn. And I remember I got to the hospital. I found out that my mother had the audacity to leave in the middle of the night without telling me. I wake up and my uncle is there. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's always a little, like, I remember when my sister was born, you're like, oh, there's like a random person here because my parents at the hospital having another child. Like,
And
that is weird.
Then I have to go to a hospital. I'm
Yeah.
not here for it. This thing, the pictures of me,
Really? And you and your brother are so close.
We're trauma bonded. We are so close. He is my baby. He
but
really is.
I think even if you weren't trauma bonded, I think you guys would be really close.
We would, because he's the funniest person in the world.
Yeah.
And I have to be around him. But what I got, do you remember the zebra rainbow gum?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
I got that, and I got Aladdin figurine dolls. And I was like, babies are great. You should have more. I did. That was my hospital.
So smart.
And the gum, I was parading around with that gum. I was like, don't worry about the baby. Can I show you how many colors I have? I was like, I had like the jacket. I was like, look at all these.
Oh my God.
I was rolling in the zebra gum, and they discontinued the rainbow zebra gum.
Really?
Yeah. A couple of years ago. I sent it to my brother, and I said, this is a crime.
Don't they realize that's like a historic artifact in your family?
I don't think they do. And I don't think they realize how important that gum was probably in the gift shop that somebody ran down to and said, we gotta get Meredith something. She's gonna be a bitch about this.
I got, when my sister Jean was born, because when my sister Nora was born, because I was 8, like I was like, yes, like I didn't need presents or anything. I was like, I'm getting a baby. Like this is my baby. I got a remember those like ponies that would be like a stick and then it had a pony on the head? That's what I got.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good gift.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to keep you busy so that she, mommy can deal with the baby. Is really what you need.
I think it's interesting because, I do think we need to be careful about like, over consumption and like buying kids things and things like that. But you and I sit here all these years later talking about these small gifts that made a huge difference to us at like these really critical times in our lives. And it is like from a parent perspective. How do you feel about that?
It's kind of lovely if you think about it. And it's a good reminder, like, kids literally don't need the Lululemon bag or whatever. Like, gum set me off.
Right.
It's amazing how candy, no matter what age, it leaves an impression. If there's a chance to receive candy or get free candy, it's the most joyous thing ever. The best part about parenting is when the kids bring back the Halloween candy.
Oh, yeah.
And my kids, my eldest sorts into different piles. My youngest my middle is just going free for all. I mean, she's just swimming in it. It's all over the place. But my eldest has to put it in individual bags and, do all that stuff. And then I get the tax. And since tax, interest rates are up, everything's kind of up. The tax has increased because times are tough.
Oh, so you go through.
Oh, there's a mommy tax and they know what mommy prefers. And I send them out with a list.
My mom was the same way. Like, I would, like, set aside the ones that I knew she liked, which are always, like, the older candies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, boomers have their candies that they love.
They do.
So I invited you to come on the podcast.
Yes.
And literally all I've told you is, like, me trauma dumping from the Medford Boat Club.
This was everything I needed.
But I sent you topics this morning.
Yes.
And one of the things I really want to talk to you about, just because I feel like you are really smart, really insightful. You do a lot of great commentary online. We didn't even give you like a proper intro because
just threw me in.
Well, the thing is, like, you've been on the pod multiple times. You're coming back again. There's an episode waiting in the wings with you.
We have a good one.
Yeah. But one of the things that's been really in the cultural zeitgeist this week has been the Blake Lively "It Ends With Us" situation. And there's a lot of conversations happening around it. And one of the things, though, like that I have really been thinking about is, and if you want to have conversations about the parts of the book and the film that are not aligning, etc., there's a lot of content out there. But I have been doing a little bit of content about just the celebrity brand of it all. Mm-hmm. And so I want to get, first off, like your hot take on celebrity brands.
I'm trying to think of a celebrity brand that I actually like and love. And I am drawing, besides Skims, which sucks.
I know, you're always in your GDM Skims. Sucks, I love you so much, but like, girl, you are always in your Skims.
I know, but they're so good. I don't know the magic behind it, but it's magic. I can't hate the Skims. The bodysuit's so good.
Okay, you know why Skims is not working for me?
Why?
It's the short torso in me. And so
I have a short torso too.
Okay, but like I need something. I'm fucking done with crew necks. Crew necks and I are done professionally.
I feel that.
And there's a lot of crew necks with Skims.
That's fair.
So I want a scoop neck. I want a V-neck.
Yeah. I have to say that I have that brown bodysuit that's like a little square neck. I don't know how it holds things in place, but it does.
Okay.
I wish I did not like this. I am not proud of myself. I'm not proud. I need you to tell me.
They do make it kind of unavoidable. When you go to Nordstrom now, it's
everywhere.
It's everywhere.
They've done a really good job getting it in there. And I think it's really, I don't even think of Kim when I think of it now.
Really?
I don't. And I
What do
think
you
that's,
think of?
I literally just think of the soft fabric, I think they've done a good job. Like, Kim was really the face, and I think they've kind of started transitioning her out and putting other faces forwards. Like when you see Nicola Coughlan, from Bridgerton, and people like that, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And so that kind of draws you in. And I have thoughts on that Blake Brown brand.
Right, because what it is that Blake Lively has several brands now. She has the Betty Buzz line, which is
I forgot about that.
She has the hair care line, and as America's most unhinged internet sleuth found, aka me, she has recently trademarked Betty Brew. And someone reached out to me, and that was trademarked under coffee and tea.
Okay.
And someone reached out to me and was like, well, a lot of times people just trademark things just to have the trademark. I think this is a real thing happening.
I think so too. You just reminded me that she really stupidly, this was such a bad idea. They hopped on the Kate Middleton Photoshop thing and kind of made a post that was a little nasty that then they had to apologize for, which was such an easy mistake to say.
What was it?
They did one of those like something like they made fun of the Photoshop, but it was kind of clunky.
They made fun of Kate's Photoshop?
Like when Kate Middleton, when that whole thing came out where people were like, it's kind of weird that we haven't seen another Princess of Wales. And the British media was like, it's fine. Don't worry. We're just not going to look into it. There's nothing weird here. And then the Mothering Sunday photo comes out, which is just Mother's Day, but they have to have it on a different day. And that was the Photoshop fail, where the picture was Photoshopped. And then the palace blamed Kate, which was weird.
Oh my God.
I could go into a whole diatribe on that situation. But that photo, Photoshopped, and then Betty Buzz, she tried to like hop on that, or her team did, and do like this Photoshop fail or like something to play off of it. And then of course it comes out that like
this poor woman has cancer.
Yeah. It was such a bad idea to hop on that train. It was just one of those moments where it's like, and it wasn't like good. It wasn't like Brat Summer getting it on that. It just, it was a little too, it just missed the mark.
Totally. I didn't realize they had done that. But I mean, I do think that a lot of times, like, people hop on these viral trends and, they don't think through what it's going to be like. And, there were a lot of people speculating about Kate. And like a lot of that is on the fault of, of the royals, of that they weren't coming out and saying it. And so a lot of assumptions were made. And I do think it spoke to the way that they treat women.
Oh, yeah. If you marry into the royal family as a woman, it doesn't matter if you are the future queen. You are disposable. You are expendable.
Do you think that Anne is disposable?
Well, Anne is a royal by blood.
Right. So that's my question.
So no, I don't. And especially given how little a lot of them work. Anne is doing...
Oh, and I've seen the hours.
I would call her a workhorse, but she got hit by a horse, although the wording around it was so weird because I saw kind of some of the briefing and stuff on it, and they will not commit to like, there's like a horse in the vicinity that perhaps headbutted or foot, whatever. The wording though is so like we don't want to accuse the wrong horse. Like,
right.
It's so fun. There's such a good BuzzFeed article on it, like horse suspected.
Yeah, and like, my heart just goes out to, I know a lot of people have thoughts about the royal family, but like, even though, I think that it's a very outdated institution, et cetera, like anytime that a young woman is diagnosed with cancer, a young mother, like it does trigger something in me.
Oh, yeah.
And, as someone who experienced what it's like at a young age to have a parent with cancer, I can tell you that it is a very, even if it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, it is a very hard thing to have the caregiver in your life be sick.
Yes.
And especially when like, I'm going to imagine that Kate is the primary parent.
Yes. I think that's the thing that she does really well.
Right.
Like she's been really consistent and protective with the parenting. And that's why for me, it was like, I actually think it's fine that they waited to tell everyone and waited to tell the kids. The problem was their PR was reactive, the crisis reactive, not proactive, because they're used to the British media just accepting what they're given and not messing it up. They didn't think about when the larger public who was obsessed with Diana, especially in America, gets word that a Princess of Wales is just suddenly nowhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know how we got here, but we're back on Betty Buzz for a minute, even though I loved our Kate Middleton moment. Around this film, she is, she had a whole like sort of like drink thing around the film and with the alcoholic drinks, and you know, the incidences of domestic violence and alcohol are connected. And so when you see that, it just feels a little off brand. It just feels a little like, okay, is this about promoting a movie? Is this about promoting storytelling, or is this about promoting your brand? And I think it's all three.
Yeah, and know what's funny? They've already tried to come out and correct the narrative around, oh no, the hair care was already planned and the movie got pushed back. So it's just, I mean, who could have predicted? So it's one of, I don't buy it. I think they made a severe miscalculation. I think that this was the moment, like Blake's moment to like get back into film. And like this was going to be her moment. And it's this script. Colleen Hoover is, people like her books. Hot take. I don't.
I've never read them, so I can't say, but I don't want to.
Just don't.
I don't like. I love like
I'll read a trashy book.
I love a rom-com book from time to time. But when I read about this book like a couple years ago, I was just like, something's like, it's just not clicking right with me. It doesn't feel like a Big Little Lies situation where, you know, the domestic violence situation was handled very differently in the like that portrayal on. You can have these movies and these conversations that hold multitudes. Did you see Big Little Lies?
I did.
Yeah.
And no, they handled it, you know, beautifully. I thought, you know.
I fucking love Nicole Kidman.
She can do no wrong. I have the shirt where this is the place we come for magic. I literally have a shirt.
Oh my God, you have that shirt?
I do, because somebody, a brand, they had a Silver Spring shirt, which was obviously my on-ramp because I'm obsessed with that song by Fleetwood Mac. And I said, I would really like that shirt. I can do content for you, thinking they're not going to do it. They said, sure, pick whatever you want. So I go on the website. Obviously, I'm getting the Fleetwood Mac sweatshirt. And then I see Nicole Kidman's face in that little, you know, silver suit. And it says, we come to this place for magic.
Oh my God.
I wear it all the time and people love it.
Yeah. I love anyone who gets away from Tom Cruise.
That picture of her celebrating like she has just gotten the divorce papers and she is free. I feel like as a woman, no matter where you're at in your life, whatever's going on, you've had a moment where you're like, hell yeah, I want to feel just like Nicole Kidman, and I do.
Do you think, I talked about this on my Patreon because I thought it was too spicy for the pod, but I'm going to talk about it with you.
Okay.
Do you think that if the roles were reversed, Katie Holmes would be as beloved as Tom Cruise? In the sense that I feel like if Katie Holmes had a child who she had zero contact with and she was riding out on a motorcycle at the closing, the whole discourse would be, where's your kid?
Terrible mother. I think the way that we have allowed Tom Cruise to continue to be Tom Cruise, as if there isn't this really insidious religious-esque business promoting him behind him, the things we let men get away with is wild. There's no way Katie Holmes could have done that.
And like, I've always been really interested in like all of the things that Katie had to do to get out. Like there was burner phones and going to Japan, and her dad had like, I mean, it was not an easy.
It was horrifying. Yeah. I mean, horrifying. You don't just walk away from. I read the whole book about Scientology.
Yeah.
It was called Going Under or something like that.
Going Clear.
There we go. Going Under. I mean, listen, maybe, allegedly.
Right?
And it is so insidious. And the way they get in with governments and stuff, it is truly horrifying. You don't just get away.
Even here on the pod, because
I know
I was uninvited from something and someone told me they thought it was because of something I said about Scientology. So I won't even.
Oh my God. You don't want to be a suppressed person.
No, I am a suppressive personality though.
You are a suppressive.
I do like bring out the worst in many people. I was just reading, hold on, where is it? I was just reading one of my podcast reviews that I'd love to read to you.
Oh, I would love to hear this. Is this one of those things where you read like mean tweets, or is this like a nice one?
Oh no, this is mean.
Oh.
Okay, so this one is, the heading is insufferable.
Compliment. Keep going.
I really used to love Meredith's content. Nothing is worse than a person who used to like you and now doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay? But she's become such a liberal Karen that I can't even consume her content anymore. I am someone who respects the fact that people have different views and opinions, but Meredith looks down on anyone who doesn't have the same beliefs as her. Not very woke, diverse, accepting, or inclusive of her. But I'm learning that is typical of liberals. They are the metaphorical pot calling the kettle black. Ready? Wait for the sign off. Here's the sign off. Are you ready? Hashtag MAGA. What if I just started ending things with like hashtag Harris Walls?
That is like, save it for your live journal.
Right?
Save it for your live journal. That is the best. Yeah, I don't understand why people aren't accepting of my beliefs that actually hurt other people. That's so weird. Why can't you be more accepting of policies that hurt people?
Right.
You're terrible. And also liberal Karen, that's kind of an oxymoron, I feel like.
I know.
Like not to grammar her, but
first of all, nothing is worse than somebody who used to like you and now doesn't like you because
Yeah.
they feel betrayed. I will say, like, my views since I've been on TikTok have not changed much. Like, I am pretty much, to be fair, I'm like the same Meredith that rolled into, St. Joseph's kindergarten class and was like, fuck this shit.
I think you realize too, when you become more comfortable online and you're just more authentically yourself, like you're going to find people who did not realize this side of you because they weren't paying attention.
Right.
Or they weren't really listening.
Right.
And then I feel like you lose those people, you're like, fine.
Yeah.
I didn't really want you to think I held these beliefs or supported these beliefs anyway. And it's so funny though that she's projecting so much, or he or whomever is projecting so much onto you about the way they feel seen or looked down upon when she's basically mad about, or he is mad about an opinion that you have and is talking about not accepting opinions, which is crazy.
Right. And it all comes down at the end of the day. I hate to say it, but it comes down to Trump. And here's the bottom line. I have people who I love in my life who hold different beliefs than me.
Yeah.
I will be honest. I don't have a lot of Trumpers in my life. I was just watching this video of this kid walking around like a Home Depot, walking up to people who like look like they could be my dad. But if my dad lived in, like maybe Arkansas or something, because a lot of them I think had Southern accents or something. And he was walking up to people and saying Trump or Kamala. And all these people were saying Kamala. And so I think the thing to keep in mind is that like, Trump has spread so much division at this point that there are a lot of people who just have to even people who like we're always Republicans or whatever. And I give so much credit to those people who are like, I always voted Republican. I voted for Trump in 2016.
Me too.
And you're not one of those people who voted for Trump in 2016 though. I just want to clarify for the class.
God.
Yeah. Just want to clarify for the class.
I did not, but I agree with you on that.
Like you can change your beliefs. And like when I think about it, if somebody that was that unhinged was running as the Democratic nominee, I would have to step back and say, is this good for us? And I think if Trump can lose this time, which by the way, he's on a rant yesterday or today that he's better looking than Kamala Harris.
This is how you know you have a narcissist in your life. And what I think too is Tim Walz is such a good example of a man who had different opinions. And then his daughter Hope was like, I have to talk to you about guns.
Right.
And he went from an A rating for the NRA to an F. And his daughter's approval meant more. When after Matthew Shepard was murdered for being gay in the late 90s, he was a football coach, Tim Walz, at a public school. Mm-hmm. And he also started the GSA because he realized how important it was. And I think especially for us, for women who have fathers who haven't emotionally been there or have gone to the Trump side or whatever, like seeing this example of just like positive masculinity is so refreshing and it's so healing. Like Tim Walz is really healing. And I think what's really hard for the Republicans is you can't really characterize him as this crazy liberal or whatever because he looks like every Republican. There's pictures of him with his hunting gun. And this might be the only time we have a public teacher with less than $300,000 to their name in the White House. And that is so needed.
If Kamala and Tim Walz can get in the White House, Kamala's staying in the White House, I guess. I think that it will also mean that Trump will have to go away once and for all, because there will be an awareness that it has gone too far.
I think this might be it. And if you had asked me a month and a half ago, Trump is winning and I am very scared.
Yeah.
But now this might actually be the final nail in the coffin. But I really think the danger is forgetting how this happened. Because originally, after Mitt Romney lost in 2012, they put together this whole autopsy of what went wrong and what they need to do. And they realized they needed to move a little more center on things. They needed to bring in more Hispanic voters. And they had all these things. And then Trump comes out and they're like, well, this is winning, so we're just going to go farther to the right. And I don't think long term, they're usually pretty good at long-term strategies.
Right.
But long term, I think that was a really bad idea. But I'm mostly afraid that people are going to forget, and then it's going to be like regular Republicans that are still spouting a lot of the same scary ideas and are still voting 90+% of the time with
Right.
Trump. And that's what scares me, is how quickly we forget.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We have a friend of the pod, Adrienne Quinn. I don't know if you know her, the Mighty Quinn. She's phenomenal.
I got to look her up.
Yeah, she just did a whole thing about how Texas like has this voter thing where it makes it look like you're registering to vote. But really, did you see this? Really what you're doing is just like filling out a form that goes to like, I don't know if it like might trigger you to get a form, but you think you're registering, but you're not.
I've lived in Texas, and I have to say,
oh, right.
No offense to the South, I did it for 10 years, okay? And I said, I can't do this no more. When I was in Texas, though, I have to tell you, I worked in politics because I decided after 2016 I was going to burn it down. And I went from volunteering to a week later becoming a comms director on a House of Representatives campaign in 2018. What a ride. Grassroots politics is crazy. And then there's an image of me crying on Japanese TV because we also had a film crew following us. And that's the only bit that they used of me.
Of course.
I have gained the campaign 15. I haven't slept. I have smoked 5 cigarettes outside, and the results come in. She loses. We're in a red, district, and it's just this tear, and I'm just shaking in the corner. I'm like, I'm so glad this is what they chose to use. But Texas is not it's a non-voting state because it's so voter suppressed and gerrymandered in insane ways, and the access to voting is a big problem. It's not that people don't necessarily want to vote, but they purposely make it complicated. So it's hard to vote in terms of when you can register, same day registration. They removed voting areas in low income neighborhoods and college areas. And suddenly you can use your gun. You can use your gun license, but you can't use a college license. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that.
They changed the rules, and we see that happening in Arkansas right now. I had the wonderful folks from Get Loud Arkansas on my podcast, and we were talking about they were allowing for electronic signatures for voter registration, and then they changed their minds. And so I feel like that's very similar to what Texas does. But one of the things that Adrienne often says is Republicans will show up for the dog catcher.
Yes.
And I love a show up and show out, but we need to work on Democrats showing up and showing out in the same way that Republicans do.
I agree. And I think in some ways 2016 was kind of a wake-up call, but I also, what's so hard too is sometimes you live in these areas where you're strategically voting for the less terrible Republican, and it's so terrible. Now, have I gotten into fights with Republican mayoral candidates waiting to vote in 2020? I sure have. Did I block a sanctuary city bill that they tried to pass because I brought in the ACLU of Texas? Sure did. I was an agent of chaos in Texas.
Do you miss it? Like, do you miss working in politics
It's so funny because I talk about it and it's like, oh, look at all of this. I think I don't miss the way it destroyed my mental health. I ended up getting stalked over a school board race, which you're like, whoa, that's nonpartisan. But this was when CRT happened. And I was working for a black candidate. I learned a lot.
That's hard. Yeah.
And I was stalked. It was horrible. And you learn that de-escalation is not really a thing when you go to the police with this information. There's not much they can do or will do. And I think I do miss working in it, but it's finding that healthy balance where it's not consuming me. And part of that I realize is not fighting with strangers on the internet. It's wild the difference it makes. And that's why I started doing on my Substack just free political content where it's like, I'm not trying to scare you because like I'm not making money off of this. It's free and I don't, whatever. I'm a Democrat. I'm not going to pretend like there are two even keel sides here. But like, here's how you can get involved. And it doesn't need to be this like soul sucking. I can't live in a place of rage all the time. And whether that is privilege or not, it's not healthy for me. I was so burned out after multiple campaign cycles.
That makes sense. Yeah. No, that tracks. So what do you think is next for you right now?
That is such a good question. I don't know. Media literacy seems to be the thread for me.
Yeah.
I love looking at media, critiquing media. I do it with the British royal family and, the British media. I'm starting to do it more with politics. I'm also really interested in how diet and culture is now wellness culture and looking at the media around that. There are so many times where we think we are being kind of counterculture when we're like, yeah, body positivity, blah, blah, blah. But we're really just buying.
It's just disguised diet culture.
And we're just buying into what capitalism is pushing.
Right.
We're just buying. We're not doing anything subversive. We're just buying into it. And you can literally see how we're starting to go back to the skinny, right?
Yep.
Skinny is in. Skinny jeans are coming back, which I'm not doing. I do not care. I have rejected them for life. But we're going back to that, but the language is different.
What about with like a calf boot or a riding boot? Because I'm keeping a pair because I think that I'm going to do like a brown boot situation this fall.
Okay, I do like that. I do like that. Know what I've realized was my problem is I got into the high-waisted thing thinking, oh my gosh, high-waisted skinny jeans are the best. It holds you in, especially after you have kids.
Yeah.
Things are loosey-goosey. And then I realized, oh, that was actually a mistake because I'm short-waisted.
Yes,
so
same.
I would be open to a mid-rise. Low skinny jean. But God, I love a baggy jean. I wore my baggy jeans last night, or like my
they look so cute.
favorite thing. They're slouchy. They're just, I do love it.
Well, where can my friends find you?
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Meredith Constant. I am also on Substack. I am writing there multiple times a week. I have a free newsletter, which is very fun. And that is Pulling Threads by Meredith Constant, meredithconstant.substack.com.
Thank you so much, Meredith, for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, I have been Meredith Lynch. This has been Oddly Specific. And tell a friend to tell a friend about Bob Costas in the 2012 Olympic Games.
The children need to know.